Oh,
Good afternoon. This is good Tuesday afternoon. This is the DVMUG Zoom meeting for August 4th, 2026. I'm Lee Wagner. I'm your host for today. We will follow the regular format of news, followed by videos, followed miscellaneous and questions and answers and social hour. We'll start out with this week's news. News items. Well, this slide is just to remind you that this is available on the BBS and the URLs are clickable, so you'll be able to look at the actual full item by going to there. Following a synopsis on this, third quarter financial performance for Apple. Apple blows away Wall Street guesswork again with record-breaking earnings, according to Malcolm Owen of AppleInsider.com. Overview says Apple has reported its third quarter financials for 2026, posting revenue of $109.4 billion in what is the last full quarter under the control of current CEO Jim Cook, up 16% year over year. Memory crisis. Apple eventually had to raise prices across most of its catalog. The results? Apple's board of directors declared a cash dividend of 27 cents per share of common stock. There was another result, as you can see in the photo. Detailed analysis are available at the URL below. Any comments or questions?
Well, the stock is down. I've been losing money on Apple stock.
Wall Street didn't like the good news about the money. They're concerned about the future.
It's up today.
Well, what
Yeah,
they said was what they said was the problem was that they can't get supplies, that they can't get their materials.
Yeah,
exactly.
And
but
so
the
so
stock price is up today.
well, not as much as it went down, let's put it that way.
Well, I still got an 84% gain.
Okay, moving on. Item 2, regulatory changes in the US and Europe are affecting Apple's services growth. Apple says App Store regulatory changes are beginning to affect services growth, as reported by Marcus Mendez, 9to5Mac.com. Although this year's third quarter services revenue was the highest third quarter ever, it is the first time since 2022 that it showed decline from the second quarter. CEO Kevin Perek noted that we also had some factors that impacted the performance of the Apple Store. We did see some headwinds in mobile gaming, and keep in mind, we also had some changes in the App Store business model in certain countries. And in the US, we do continue to operate under a court ruling impacting the linked out transactions, but we're pleased that the Supreme Court will hear our appeal. Despite this, the App Store set a June quarter record revenue. Over the past year, Apple has had to comply with new rules allowing alternative app distribution, payment methods, and out-of-app purchases offers in markets including Japan, Brazil, and the European Union. Additionally, due to the Epic Games lawsuit, Apple has been temporarily barred from charging any commission on purchases made through external links in the US. Any comments or questions? Next news item, JP Morgan is anxious short term, but bullish long term. JP Morgan lowers Apple price target on supply constraint worries, still bullish though long term, according to Wesley Hilliard of AppleInsider.com. Apple's record-breaking quarter wasn't enough to keep investors from worrying. While price increases didn't worry the investors at JP Morgan, ongoing supply chain constraints will have a short-term impact, and thus their new price target is $340. In a note seen by Apple Insider, JP Morgan shares that it believes high demand for products like the iPhone 17 and the MacBook Neo has helped maintain momentum in the product cycle. Siri AI's impending launch will also help drive demand, going into Q4 of 2026. Apple has leverage it can continue to pull to combat these effects, but they only go so far. JP Morgan expects that even if the short term isn't ideal, the long term will still look great for Apple. Comments or questions?
There's going to be a massive amount of new stuff released in the fall with Siri. It's all been waiting for Siri AI. It's just been ready to go hardware.
All right. Supply constraints plus high demand expectations suggest difficulty in meeting demand this year. Apple warns it may be really hard to get a new iPhone this year, according to Michael Simon of Macworld.com. During Apple's third quarter earnings call Thursday, Tim Cook warned that the impact from the supply constraints will increase significantly in the upcoming quarter. In plain English, that means supply of new products could be severely limited. Cook explains that Apple sees the market pricing for memory continuing to increase and having an increasing impact on our business. Higher prices aside, there is sure to be tremendous demand for the new iPhones in September, especially the Ultra, and if RAM is still hard to get, that's going to create something of a perfect storm for buyers, with stock of the iPhone Ultra likely selling out as quickly as the iPhone X and the hot new iPhone 18 color back ordered for months. Comments or questions? Moving on to the videos. This is the alert that these video are on the BBS in PDF form, so they're clickable to get to the original articles. First video by Gary Rosenzweig of MacMost, 9 tips for sharing links and images. Before sending a link to a web page in an email or text message, here are some things to consider, like keeping the URL short, copying just the link, highlighting text on a page, and more. Here's Gary.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Here are some tips for sending web links. So sending links to somebody else, whether it's through an email or a text message, it's pretty simple. But there are better ways to do things sometimes. For instance, let's take this big retail website, and if I were to want to send this product to somebody else, I may copy the link here and then go to Mail and paste it in. But look how big this URL is. It's huge. Now, it'll work, but why does it need to be so big? Well, it doesn't. All that's needed is the beginning part of the URL, actually only up to about here. And if you use this online retailer a lot, you get to know this. The rest of this stuff, this is all like tracking stuff. You don't want to include that because, well, it's unwieldy, but also there's really no advantage for you or the other person. So back here, you could go to the URL and you could try to guess what is needed. Here, after the product ID, I don't think anything else is needed. So I can put my pointer there and grab and drag down to signify that I want to select everything to the right and then press delete. Now, here's the important part. You can test it by pressing return, and it's only going to use what's here. Or if you want, you could do Command A, Command C, and then open a new tab, paste in just that section, and press return. And if it works, if it takes you to the right place, you could go and just paste in that part of the URL instead of the rest. A lot of times there's a ton of junk parameters at the end of URLs, and it's really handy to try to take them off the end, test them before you send them, and send the shortest link possible. Another thing people often do in wanting to copy a link is they will select the text on the page like this. Use Command C to copy, and then go and paste it in like that. But you can see if this is a text-only email, you don't get the link at all. If your message is rich text and you paste in, you do get the text and it works as a link. You can see it right there that it's a link, but you also get the style and color and everything like that. To paste a link cleanly, don't select and copy the text, but instead Control-click right click or two finger click on your trackpad and bring up the context menu. And then look for copy link. That will ignore the text there and all of the styling. And then you can paste, and it will paste the actual link instead of any of that other stuff. Likewise, if you do a search and you see the page you want in the search results, if you copy the link there, I'm going to use the context menu and copy link. Then notice if I paste that link in, I don't get a clean URL. The actual URL is hidden in there. You can see it starting right here. But what you're getting is all of the tracking stuff from the search engine. Now there are many different ways to work around that, but the cleanest way that's going to work everywhere is simply go to the page first so you get the actual real URL there. Copy that and paste that into your message. Now sometimes you want to send a link, but not just to the page, but a specific section in the page, maybe even specific text. So for instance, if you wanted to specifically point out somebody this text here, you could select it, just highlight it, just like you would text in a word processor, and then control click, right click, or two finger click on the text and look for copy link with highlight. When you do that and then you paste that in, you get a special URL. You'll see here it starts off just like the regular URL to the page, but it includes some other stuff here. Now this isn't tracking or anything like that. This is specifically saying for this link, take the person who clicks it right to that part of the page. But more than that, it will highlight that text for them. So for instance, if that person were to click on the link and go to that page, and notice how it popped that text out right away and it remains highlighted. So you can point out exact text to somebody on a web page. It doesn't have to be set up by the web page creator in advance. You do it when you select the text and use that special copy link with highlight function. And the great thing is they don't have to have Safari or even be on a Mac for this to work. It'll work on the iPhone and the iPad and in most browsers, even on Windows. Now this next one's a big one and one that a lot of people ignore or get frustrated by. Say you copy a URL like this. And for this example, let's go ahead and use messages, but the same thing may happen in mail. Paste in the link and instead of getting just a plain text link, you get a little preview, a preview of the page taken from an image on that page. You get the title, you get the website there, and this is what the person gets on the other end. But if you don't want to clutter their messages up with this image here, you just want to send them a plain link, you could always control click, right click, or two finger click on the image there and use convert to text link. And then it changes to a regular text link like that. In fact, if you're sick of doing that in Mail, there's actually a setting for it. In Mail settings under composing, you've got add link previews right there. And you could switch that off to stop it from doing it. Now another thing you may want to do, especially if the URL is really long, is you may want to shorten it. So you could certainly use any URL shortener you want. It's really handy for sending a URL in messages or in an email. is.gg is a decent email shortener and you can paste in your long URL there, shorten it, and you'll get this shorter link here. If it's an extremely long URL that you want to send, this could be really handy. If you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 3,000 others that support MacMost through Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. Now remember, just because you can see a web page doesn't mean somebody else can. You may be logged into a site that they can't see unless they log in as well. For instance, this commonly happens with things like Instagram and Facebook. So here I am looking at an Instagram photo and I may find, oh, I can easily copy a link directly to this. But here's the thing, if you send it to somebody else, they may not be able to see it. You could test this by using a private web browsing window. So go to File, New Private Window like this. And this acts like it's not you. You're not logged into anything. So if you paste in the URL that you copied and go to it, this is what they'll see. And they may see this sign up login thing here. And maybe they could see the video or image. Maybe they can't. So when in doubt, try creating a new private window to test a link before sending it to somebody. And the same goes for any kind of private account kind of thing. For instance, you may want to test out a link to a photo and a photo gallery that you uploaded to make sure that somebody who's not logged into that service, doesn't have an ID there, or just isn't you, can actually see the same thing that you're seeing before you send them that link. Now when you want to send a link to something like, say, YouTube video, you may be tempted to actually just grab the link here at the top and send it. But that's basically asking that person to watch that entire video to see what it is you're talking about. If there's something specific in the video you want them to see, remember to include the time for them to go to. So for instance, in this video, you may say, oh, start watching at 3 minutes and 8 seconds in. Or in YouTube, you can simply go to share and you can check the start at checkbox there. And then when you copy this URL, it will include a link directly to that time. So you could paste in and they will go to the video and jump right to that time. You can actually see it here when I paste in the T equals and 188 seconds, in other words 3 minutes and 8 seconds in, and that's where the video will start playing for them. Now sometimes we're not sharing links in mail or messages or anything online, but we're sharing them in real life. And when you do that, if it's a long URL, you're asking somebody to read and then type into their phone or other device that whole URL. This is why we have QR codes. QR codes make it easy to scan a URL using your phone's camera and then work across different devices. It's easy to create a QR code to print out and put somewhere. All you need is first the URL. I'll copy this one here. And then you need a service that will create a QR code for you. But you don't have to use somebody else's service. A lot of times that's going to inject trackers or it's going to put a logo on the printout. What you want to do is use Apple's own solution that's already on your Mac. Go into the Shortcuts app and then go to Gallery and then search specifically for QR space code. And you should see Make QR Code here. And you could add this shortcut. And now you've got that and you can use that shortcut to generate nice, clean QR codes. I've got a whole video on that you can check out if you want to know more. So those are some handy tips for the next time you need to send a web link to somebody else. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.
Well, any comments or questions?
That was a lot of data.
That was a lot of video.
That was really good. I knew some of that stuff, but most of it I didn't know.
Uh-huh. Well, that is on the BBS to watch again.
The Amazon one, I do that all the time. Somebody wants, well, what should I get? And I say, wait a minute, I'll go find it, and I get the thing and get the right short one. So here it is. Here's the price. They click here, buy it. And then I'll come and install it. That one was, like you said, it works if you get the long one, but it's ridiculously long.
Uh-huh.
The QR code one was interesting, but I find getting QR codes from people suspicious. I want to know that the QR code I'm being sent is safe.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to be
That's
careful
smart.
about seeing a QR code out on the street on a telephone pole. You don't know what's going to happen when you snap that thing, where it's going to take you.
Right.
Sometimes they take a legitimate one and they come and paste a new QR code over it to take you to a fake site. Very easy to do.
Okay, moving on. Second video is also by Gary. Learn how to use Stage Manager on your Mac in 5 minutes. Stage Manager is one way you can manage lots of windows on your Mac's desktop at the same time. Learn the basics and give it a try, but it isn't for everyone.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Here's your quick start guide to using Stage Manager on your Mac. So Stage Manager is a way for you to manage the windows that are on your Mac desktop. For instance, here I've got a ton of windows open on my desktop. One way to better manage those is to turn on Stage Manager. You can do that directly by going into System Settings and then in there go to Desktop and Dock. Here you can turn it on with this switch, but a more typical way to turn it on is to use Control Center. So you go to Control Center here in the top right and you'll find this button for Stage Manager. If you don't see that button, use Edit Controls here at the bottom to add it. So with Stage Manager turned on, all of your windows for a single app are shown on the desktop. The other windows, they're all still there and on that desktop, but they are moved over to the left side here. You may actually have more windows than this. It's only going to show you the most recently used ones, and how many it shows depends on the amount of space you've got according to your screen size. To switch to another group here, just click the group here in the left sidebar. So I'll click on Finder here, and now I'll see these 3 Finder windows, and notice that the 3 Pages windows went to the left to take the place of the Finder windows that were there. If I switch, say, to Notes, that one Notes window comes up and the 3 Finder windows go over to the left. When a window is too large and it takes up the space on the left side, the Stage Manager groups are still there. If you move your pointer to the left side like that, they should pop up. Now it's important to note that you can use other ways to navigate between apps. You don't need to use the left side icons. You can use, for instance, the App Switcher, just like without Stage Manager. So you can use the App Switcher to switch to a different app like that, and you can see it pulls the app group from the left. You can also use the dock to switch. So I can click here to go to the different apps. Now note that if you ever just want to see the desktop, you can just click on any desktop area like this and the desktop is revealed. You won't normally see things like icons that are on the desktop when using Stage Manager unless you click on the desktop to reveal it and put all the apps into the left side groups. If you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 3,000 others that support MacMost through Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. Now if you ever want to group 2 windows together that are from different apps, first start off with one of the windows that you want to see. Then go to the left side here and drag the top window from any other app group into the main desktop area. If I then switch to another app group like to Finder here, you'll notice that this app group here is Notes and Pages. And I can bring it back like that. If I want to take this Pages window and put it back with the other ones, I can drag it back over. If you need a specific window, you can always click the icon like this. It reveals the 3 windows and you could pick the one that you want. You don't have perfect control when grouping and ungrouping windows. There's a lot you can do with dragging, but sometimes you can't get quite the groups that you want. So if you're a control freak, you're probably not going to like Stage Manager. You do have some settings that go along with Stage Manager that changes how it works. So go into System Settings, Desktop, and Dock, and then you'll see a setting here for Show Recent Apps in Stage Manager. If you turn that off, you won't see the items here on the left unless you move the pointer all the way there. Also, you can change how it behaves by switching Show Windows from an application from all at once to one at a time. Now when you do that and you click an app group like this Pages group here, the first window appears all by itself. The others remain here, but you can continue to click to bring other windows in. This is a fundamental difference, and some people that don't like Stage Manager normally do like this one window at a time version of it, and vice versa. Here are some other tips. You can minimize a window by clicking the yellow button. Instead of it going into the dock, it'll actually go into the app groups on the left. Now if you like Mission Control and like Stage Manager, they work well together. So I'll bring up Mission Control and I will add another desktop here. And I'll move some of these windows to the second desktop. And Stage Manager works as I would expect. But I could also switch to the other desktop space, and Stage Manager is working here with these windows as well. And it works in a similar way if you have multiple displays. Each screen has its own set of app groups and works independently. So there are the basics for using Stage Manager. It's not for everybody, but if you've never tried it, give it a try and see what you think. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.
Well, comments or questions on that one?
I don't think many people here use Stage Manager. I don't.
No.
It was great. It was interesting. I might try it. See.
Moving on.
All right, moving on. Third video is by Sam Cambetis. iOS 27 is coming. Here's what I'm looking forward to. In this video, I'm running through the iOS 27 features I'm most excited about after watching Apple's WWDC 2026 keynote on June 8, 2026, including the new Siri AI, a big overhaul to parental controls and screen time, faster file transfers between iPad and external drives, shortcuts in plain language, and a new camera feature in the Home app.
Last week, Apple held their annual WWDC keynote and announced what's coming in iOS 27. And there were a few things that really stood out to me. So today I wanted to share the features I'm personally most looking forward to. iOS 27 is expected to be available to everyone this September, though keep in mind those features are still in development, so some things may change between now and the official release. So let's take a look at what's coming. The biggest announcement for the whole keynote was Siri AI. Apple promised us a smarter Siri back when the iPhone 16 launched, and that didn't really happen. So hopefully this time they have learnt from that, because what they're describing now isn't just a few tweaks, it's a complete rebuild from the ground up. The new Siri is much more conversational. So instead of just firing off a single command, you can actually go back and forth with it in a more natural way. It's also getting its own dedicated app where you'll be able to look back at your conversation history. And Siri can also pull context from things like your photos, your messages, and your notes. So if you ask it to help you plan something, it actually knows enough about you to be useful. Siri AI is coming with iOS 27 in September, though it will be labeled as a beta feature to start. Worth noting, if you're in the EU or China, availability will be limited at launch due to some regulatory issues. If Apple actually delivers on what they've shown, this is the Siri we've all been waiting for. Something else that got my attention was the big update coming to parental controls. If you're a parent with kids on Apple devices, this one's for you. The current screen time setup is pretty average. If you've ever tried to set it up for your kids, you'll know it can be a little confusing. So I was really happy to see Apple give this a proper overhaul in iOS 27. First up, child accounts. Once it's set up, age-appropriate protections turn on automatically across the whole system. And if your child is already on a regular Apple account, you can convert it across, which is great news for a lot of families. There's a new feature called Ask to Browse. Similar to the Ask to Buy for apps, your child now needs approval before visiting any new websites in Safari. Both are on by default for kids under 13. Communication safety has also been expanded. It now covers gore and violent content in messages and FaceTime, not just nudity. And screen time has been completely redesigned to be clearer and easier to manage, with new time allowances and schedules to help you set limits around entertainment, games, and social media, with age-based recommendations built right in. I'll be doing a full dedicated video on all of this once iOS 27 lands, so stay tuned for that. For anyone who uses an external drive with the iPad, this one is going to make a real difference. Apple announced that browsing and transferring files between your iPad and an external drive is going to be up to 5 times faster with iOS 27, making it just as fast as doing it on your Mac. So if you regularly move files, photos, or videos between your iPad and an external drive, you're going to notice a difference here. No new hardware needed. This is all coming through the software update. Just keep in mind results will vary depending on your iPad model and the type of external drive you're using. Shortcuts is a really great app, but for most people, it's one of those things they've never really touched because the learning curve can be pretty steep. But in iOS 27, that's about to change. You can now just describe what you want a shortcut to do in plain language, and it builds it for you. In the keynote, the example was, when I leave work, message my partner, I'm on my way with my ETA. And just from that description, Shortcuts figures out all the steps it needs and puts it together automatically for you, all without having to set any of that up manually. I'm really looking forward to testing this one out. The last one I wanted to talk about is the Home app. Apple announced that supported cameras will now be able to record in 4K, so you're going to get a lot more detail in your footage. And on top of that, the Home app can now use Apple Intelligence to search through your camera clips by what was actually captured in them. So instead of scrubbing through hours of footage, you can just search for what you're looking for, like a package delivery, and it will pull up the relevant clips from all of your cameras. I've been wanting to get cameras set up in my Apple Home for a while now, so once this update is released, I might need to look into this. So those are the 5 things from iOS 27 that I'm personally most looking forward to. Siri AI, the parental control overhaul, faster external drive transfers on the iPad, shortcuts in plain language, and the new camera features in the Apple Home app. iOS 27 is expected to drop this September, so there's not too long to wait. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my follow-up videos covering a lot of these features in detail. And I'd love to know, drop a comment below and tell me which feature from iOS 27 you're most looking forward to. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.
Boy, her delivery has sure changed. She's just reading now. She used to talk with a conversational tone, but she's just reading as fast as she can.
Well, shortcuts in plain language sounds rather promising.
Absolutely. That's the most exciting thing for me.
Yeah.
If Siri AI works like Gemini does, I've been using it for all kinds of stuff. And I presume it's gonna work the same. It's pretty freaking amazing.
I've been using it on the beta, and I love Siri.
I haven't got to it on the beta yet. The nice thing about Gemini on the web is you don't have to have a fancy computer. You can do it with any web browser. And it does this web-based, so it's not happening on your device. Anybody can use it.
I haven't actually experienced hooking external storage media to my iPad as being slow.
That's it. Well, do you have a USB-C connection on your iPad?
Yes, I do.
It should be better than the Lightning connector, for sure.
Well, yeah, what I'm saying is she's talking about how they're going to make it significantly faster. I haven't noticed that it's slow.
But it's not full USB speed, so they're gonna get that up to full hardware speed.
She didn't explain it that way.
Well, faster means it's not taking advantage of the full USB speed that is available with the hardware.
Well, I'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure 27 will work very well and 64 gig.
Probably not.
Time will tell. Moving on. 4th video is by Rich Bowen, Tech Tips for Seniors. 5 basic iPad settings every senior should explore. In this video, I'll walk you through the most important iPad settings that every senior should consider changing. These simple tweaks will make your iPad easier to read, safer to use, and much less frustrating day to day. We'll cover everything from making text bigger, reducing eye strain at night, keeping your screen on longer, and setting up important safety features like Find My iPad.
If you just got a new iPad, or even if you've had one for a while, there are a handful of settings that most people never touch, and honestly, they're making the iPad harder to use than it needs to be. I'm not sure why I've not made a video like this. I guess it's because I don't like those YouTube titles that tell me you must make these changes on your iPad. I've never found that to be the case. I just turn my iPad on and use it, without making any changes. But truthfully, there are a handful of simple changes that will, for many of you, make your iPad so much easier to use. That's what this video is all about. Today I'm going to show you 5 settings you should consider changing soon, if not right now. These aren't complicated. In fact, most of them take less than 30 seconds to do. But once you make these changes, your iPad is going to feel noticeably better, easier to read, easier on your eyes, and a lot less annoying. By the way, I'm using an M4 iPad Air running iPadOS 26.5. But even if you have a different iPad or you're running a different version of iPadOS, my guess is these tips will still work for you. I've been helping people get the most out of their iPads for years, and these 5 settings come up just about every single time. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is make the text bigger and bolder. This is probably the most impactful change you can make, and I'm always surprised how many people don't even know this is possible. So here's how you do it. First, you open up Settings, then scroll down and tap on Accessibility. Once you're in there, tap on Display and Text Size. And here you're going to see two options you can turn on. First is Bold Text. Just tap that toggle to turn it on. It'll turn green. What this does is make every letter on your screen slightly thicker and heavier, which makes it dramatically easier to read. And of course, if you don't like this look, you can just turn it off. Next, tap on Larger Text. Then tap on Larger Accessibility Sizes. Then below that, you'll see a slider. Drag that slider to the right to increase the font size. I usually recommend going about 2 or 3 notches to the right, enough to make a real difference without things feeling way out of proportion. You'll see the preview text at the top change in real time, so find a size that feels comfortable for you and just play around with this until you get the text at a size that makes sense to you. Here you can see the before and after text size in the News app. Man, now that's a big difference. These two changes alone make the iPad so much more enjoyable to use. Everything, your emails, your messages, websites, all of it gets easier to read. That's pretty simple. And by the way, if you like simple videos on how to use your iPhone and iPad, please consider subscribing. We're growing like crazy and we'd love to have you join this community of incredibly bright people. Okay, the second tip is called Night Shift, and if you use your iPad in the evening, like I do, watching videos or reading or browsing, this one's going to be really helpful. Here's the thing. Screens emit what's called blue light, and in the evening, that blue light can make it harder to wind down and can cause some eye strain. Not only that, if you're older like me, it can affect falling asleep. Night Shift warms up the colors on your screen slightly after sunset, which is much easier on your eyes. To turn it on, go back to Settings, tap on Display and Brightness, and then tap on Night Shift. I recommend turning on Scheduled and setting it to sunset to sunrise. That way it turns on automatically every evening without you having to think about it. You can also drag the color temperature slider a little toward the warmer side to see what that text and screen will look like. The screen sort of dims for a few seconds to give you an idea of how it will look. Of course, you can always come back and play around with the slider to get it set to exactly what suits you. Now, you're not going to notice a big difference during the day, but in the evening, when you're reading or watching something before bed, your eyes are going to thank you. The next tip is a small change that makes a big difference in everyday use. By default, your iPad is set to lock itself, which means go dark, after just 2 minutes of you not touching the screen. Now that might sound fine, but if you're reading a recipe or reading an article or watching something, the screen goes dark right in the middle of what you're doing, and it just drives me nuts. So here's how to fix it. Go to Settings, tap Display and Brightness, and then tap Auto Lock. You'll see options ranging from 2 minutes all the way up to never. I recommend setting it to 15 minutes. That gives you plenty of time to read without the screen cutting out, while still making sure it locks if you set it down and walk away. But you can play around with this and set it to whatever time, works best for you. But just know that leaving it on never will drain your battery faster, so I wouldn't recommend that unless you're always plugged in. All right, this next tip is about peace of mind. It's called Find My, and it allows you to locate your iPad if it ever gets lost or stolen. Now think about it. Your iPad has your email, your photos, maybe even your banking apps. If it ever goes missing, you want to be able to track it down or at least protect what's on it. To check if it's set up, go to Settings, tap your name at the very top. That's your Apple ID. Then tap Find My, and then tap Find My iPad. Make sure Find My iPad is toggled on. I'd also recommend turning on Send Last Location, which means if your iPad battery dies, it will send its last known location to Apple, so you can still find it. If you're already signed in with your Apple ID and this is turned on, you're good to go. If not, turn it on now. It's free, it takes 10 seconds, and you really hope you never need it, but if you do, you'll be so glad this was turned on. Okay, the last tip, and this might be my favorite tip in the whole video because I think this is the #1 thing that makes people feel overwhelmed by their iPad, and that's notifications. Every app you download wants to tap you on the shoulder all the time. Sounds, banners popping up on your screen, badges on icons, and most of them are completely unnecessary. And here's how to take control. Go to Settings and then tap on Notifications. You'll see a list of every app on your iPad. And unfortunately, you do have to go through this list one app at a time to tame these notifications. If you look below the name of the app, you'll see the type of notifications that are allowed. If it says off, then you're good to go. Otherwise, you may need to make some changes. So the trick is this. Go through this list and ask yourself, does this app actually need to alert me? For most apps, games, shopping apps, social media, the answer is probably no. Tap on any app you want to quiet down, and you can either turn off allow notifications completely, or you can turn on specific things like sounds or badges. I'd recommend keeping notifications on for things like messages and phone calls if you use your iPad for that, and maybe your email, but everything else, feel free to turn it off. Your iPad will feel calmer and much less distracting. Hey, so there you have it. 5 settings, all of them easy to do, and all of them making your iPad noticeably better. Let's just do a quick recap. Larger text and bold text is easier to read. Night shift, easier on your eyes in the evening. Auto lock stops the screen from going dark when you're in the middle of something. Find My iPad is peace of mind if your iPad ever goes missing. And notifications, less clutter, less stress. Okay, that's it for today. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button. It really does help other people find this video. And if you're new here,
Comments or questions?
Good stuff. Definitely, I always do. Help on somebody with their iPad, and if I'm doing something, the thing locks in 2 minutes, drives me nuts. Reason to have an iPad lock in 2 minutes, 15 is fine. It usually doesn't leave your house. It's also, if it doesn't lock, somebody picks on your phone, you can't set it to 15 minutes. They don't let you. I think it's 5, because if it's unlocked, somebody picks it up, then they have access to your stuff. So that's another reason to have it locked, besides save battery. Do not set your phone to not lock. That's a terrible idea.
Yes.
And Find My, absolutely. Turn Find My on all your devices that leave the house, not necessarily on your iMac, your MacBook, iPad, iPhone, anything that goes out of the house. You need to have Find My. So if somebody steals it or you lose it, so for whatever reason, you have a chance of finding it. No reason
So
not to.
John,
Yeah.
John, why wouldn't you turn it on for your Mac? If your Mac is easily moved out of your house,
You
shouldn't
can
it
if
be
you
on?
want. That's fine if you want to. It's your you can if you want. I don't really ever find
Yeah,
it
Mac
necessary.
Mini is nice and small and easy to pilfer.
Yeah, I've never had somebody try to need to find their Mac beside a MacBook. MacBook, yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, Find My
Rich,
found my iPhone about 8 or 10 blocks away from my house in the middle of the street because it fell out of my pocket. Really worked.
absolutely. I've had people recover their stolen phones that way. Find My.
Mhm. Fifth video is by Techie Tutor. The iPhone features Apple doesn't promote. This 2026 video from Techie Tutor highlights 3 lesser-known iPhone features designed to save users time daily. Learn how to use iPhone efficiently by navigating these iPhone settings and discovering useful iPhone hidden features. These iPhone tips will enhance your iPhone productivity and simplify your daily routines.
Here are 3 iPhone features that Apple doesn't really explain, but once you know them, they'll save you time every single day. Hi, I'm Karen from Techie Tutor, and I make simple tech videos for regular iPhone users. Today, I'm sharing 3 iPhone secrets that are easy to use and actually helpful. No techie stuff, I promise. So let's get started. Do you know you can tap the back of your phone? You can set up something called back tap, which will open up features like your flashlight, a quick note, an alarm. Once it's set, just tap the back of your phone 2 or 3 times and it will automatically work. It feels like magic the first time you use it. Let me show you how. Open up Settings, go down to Accessibility, go down to Touch, and then scroll down for Back Tap. Make sure it's on, and then choose a selection for double tap. I've chosen flashlight, but there are lots of different options. Triple tap, I've also chosen something. I've chosen the quick note feature to open a quick note. Once it's set up, you can just go back, and to access it, you just have to tap vigorously with your finger, tap it twice, and double tap will turn on my flashlight right here. Tap it, press that to turn it off. Tap it 3 times for a quick note. Triple tap detected, and now I have a quick note. Secret number 2, move the cursor without that annoying magnifying glass. Have you ever wanted to insert a word or fix a typo and had a really hard time getting the cursor where you want it? Here's a quick trick. If you tap on the text anywhere and then tap on the spacebar, instead of having a keyboard, you now have a trackpad, and you can move the cursor anywhere you want it to make whatever change you need. Like that. Secret number 3, selecting text very fast with 2 fingers. Here I am in the note with the text that I pasted in. I'm going to tap and hold a word, and you'll see that handles appear. Now, normally you would find a handle and drag it, but here's a much better way. Using 2 fingers, you can drag the handle while the first finger holds it down so it's active. If you use 1 finger to hold and the second finger to stretch it out, you can easily expand the selection to a much larger amount than you would if you just used 1 finger. You can do whole sentences, paragraphs, even the whole page, and it's a lot easier. Once you get used to it, it feels natural, but you do need to practice. I'm going to show you the same thing. You'll see the 2 handles. I use my second finger to drag and select the whole thing. Those are 3 iPhone features that actually save you time. If this video helped you, give it a like and subscribe to my channel so you'll always know when new videos come out. Let me know in the
Comments or questions?
That last one was interesting, but I wish they'd shown her fingers.
Mhm. All right. 6 videos by Gary again. 10 tips for working with your images in the Preview app on your iPhone. The new Preview app on the iPhone can be used to view and work with image files. You can mark up images, draw on them, add text, crop, and convert to other file types. Go, Gary.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Here are some tips for using the Preview app on your iPhone with images. So the Preview app on the iPhone is new in iOS 26, and it's similar to the Preview app that's been around on Mac for years. It allows you to view PDF files and image files, and also mark them up, draw on them, add text, add arrows, and make some changes. Like for instance, I'll show you how you can crop and export images in a different format. Now I'm only going to deal with images here. I did a video previously that dealt with PDF files. You have many ways to get an image into the Preview app to work with it. For instance, you can go to Preview itself, and then you have a little file browser down here. You can even expand it to fill the entire screen there, and you could browse through your files just like in the Files app, looking through everything you've got on your iPhone and in iCloud Drive and other cloud systems that you have connected to your iPhone. You can also go into the Files app, and with an image, by default, if you tap it, it will open up in Preview. But if you tap and hold, you actually get all of the options, including to open with, and you could see here that Preview says the default, but you could also set preview with quick look as the default, it just puts a check mark there, and then you're back to just previewing like that without ever leaving the Files app. If you did that, then now you would have to tap and hold and open with, and then select Preview in order to open it in Preview. Also, in the Photos app, you can tap and hold an image and then select Share. And with Share, you can look for Preview here as one of the icons. By default, you won't see it there, but you can go to More, and this is where you can customize by tapping Edit which items are here at the top under Favorites. Once you have Preview there, then it will always appear here, and then you could tap Preview to export an image from your Photos library and open it as a file in Preview. It'll save a copy to the Preview folder in iCloud Drive to do that. Any way you do it, you will end up being able to view the image in Preview. And once you're viewing it, you can now work with it to mark it up and do some other things. My first tip is this button down here, the I button or information button. Tap that and you are going to get a huge list of all of the metadata for this image. It reveals everything, even the GPS location coordinates and everything that's saved as metadata for this image. What's here depends on how you created this image. If you simply created this image on your own in an image editor, graphics app, or something like that, then you may end up with very little metadata here. Now, one of the main things you may want to do with an image is to add text to it. So to do that and a lot of these other things, you need to enter markup mode. Tap the little markup button here at the bottom left, and now you're in markup mode. And then you'll see the markup mode indicated here at the top, and you can tap there to exit markup mode. Now, you have a variety of different pens and highlighters and all sorts of things here at the bottom that you could choose from. We'll look at those in a minute, but the plus button reveals a lot of extra functionality, like the ability to add text. You can tap Add Text there. Then you can change its color with this dot here. You could tap here and change the font. You can make it larger, for instance, by tapping right there. Let's make it bold. You can change the font there, choose a new one like this. And then you can tap and drag the text around and place it where you want on the image. And then just continue to work on it. So I can, for instance, change its color. Let's make it white there. Now you may also want to add an arrow to point to something. So you could use that same plus button there, and you can use Add Shape. And one of the shapes here is an arrow. And then you've got an arrow. You can use the two blue dots there to drag around at the ends. Tap on the line here to change the color, and then also the thickness for the line like that. And you can also tap here and decide where the arrowheads go. If you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 2,000 others that support MacMost through Patreon. Get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. But you may want to add other kinds of shapes. Like for instance, if you look at the circle shape there, you may think, well, why do I want a big circle like this? But you can change the color to no fill and then change the border with the second button here to a color. Let's make it a little thicker like that. And now you've got a shape here that you can reposition, resize as you like to circle an area. It's a little tricky to work with shapes like this. Sometimes it really helps to zoom in with two fingers, so it's easier to grab what's there. But I also find using the selection tool here, you could easily circle something and then it'll select it. In this case, it got the arrow and the circle. So let's just get the circle like this. And then once it's selected, it's fairly easy to move it around like that if you like. Now you can also add more things here. One of the things you could add is a sticker. And stickers are things that you may have previously created using emoji characters or grabbing things from images that you made. But you also could just do plain like emoji characters and other stickers that you may get from third-party apps. So you can add a simple emoji character like that, resize it, move it around to where you want. But if you just want to draw, you've got all these drawing tools. So many of these pens down here are just different ways to draw. A second tap on each one will give you a thickness and also an opacity. And you can also tap here and change the color that you're drawing with. So then you could just draw something here whatever you like. And if you're a better artist than me, you might be able to draw something interesting over your image. Now, while learning all this, you're going to make lots of mistakes. So it's useful to know how to undo. You do have a quick undo here with the 3 dots or more button at the top right, and you can undo anything like that drawing there, and you can also redo it. But also, if you tap once with 3 fingers on the image, you get the little undo redo toolbar here that you can use. Now, one last thing that's really cool to be able to add to this is the loop. And a loop is a circle like this, but you can change the size of the circle and the magnification. It's like a little magnifying glass, and you could drag it around to magnify a part of an image. You can even add more than one loop to the image if you want. Now let's exit the markup tools and let's look at how you can crop an image. Cropping an image means first selecting it. So you use a selection tool here, and then you could drag the corners or sides to crop the image as much or as little as you want. Let's do like that. And then you can copy the selection or crop it. And another thing you may want to do is export the image. You won't find that here in More. You will find it here in the Title menu, which allows you to rename the file in place, move it, duplicate it, and so on. There's an export function. And the export function lets you pick the format. So you can export, say, as a JPEG, and then pick the quality, which will reduce the size here. And you can see the estimated size of the export. And this will save it out as a new image to a location that you want. And by the way, if you want to do a lot of this with photos in your photos library, there's no need usually to go to preview because the markup tools that are in preview are also in photos. So select your photo here and then tap the adjustment tools down here. You'll see all your regular adjustment tools like cropping and filters and stuff at the bottom. But at the top, you'll see a markup button. Tap that and you'll see all of these same tools available right here in photos. So for instance, you could add, say, the loop. And then the great thing about photos, of course, is that even after you save it like this, you'll see the photo has that change, but you could always go back into it. And when you edit it again, you've got the revert button because Photos always remembers the original copy. Here are a few other tips. You've got the ability to copy a subject out of a photo in a variety of places, including here in the Photos app. So for instance, if I wanted to just have the zebra here, I could tap and hold the zebra and then select copy, and then I could use it somewhere else. Like here in Messages, I could just paste that in and I just paste the zebra, not the background. But you have the ability to kind of do the opposite with the image right here in preview. You can tap the More button and then there's Remove Background. So it'll leave the subject there and get rid of the background. So one thing you can do with images in preview that you can't even do with the preview app on the Mac is you can start with a blank image. Here's how you do it. In preview, when you start it up, you just choose New Document and you choose Empty Image or New from Clipboard. If you choose Empty Image, you could always paste something into it or start drawing. So while Preview is a pretty basic graphics app for your iPhone, at least it's a graphics app. You can do some things with it that you couldn't do before on your iPhone unless you went and got a third-party graphics app. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.
Well, comments or questions?
Oh, well, he didn't say how to delete an image. Maybe I have a image in my preview on my iPhone because I use them at the desktop mainly, but so how do I get rid of it?
Fred, I don't know. Someone else?
Not
I'm
sure
trying to
I
find it in
understand the
photos.
question.
Yeah. The question was, how do I delete an image in preview on iPhone?
Click the red button.
What red button?
Isn't there a red, yellow, and green button up at the top?
If the images are saved in iCloud Drive in your preview folder, it's in there. It's a file, you know. If you open a file, there's no delete button. It's already saved.
Where's the preview contents?
He said there's a preview folder in your files. folder. In the Files app, it'll show you all the files on your iPad, and there will be a preview folder in
No,
there.
it's not an iPad. It's my iPhone.
Doesn't matter, iOS, all the same.
Files,
Open
maybe
the
under
Files
files.
app to see.
Okay.
In the
Okay, thanks.
preview folder will be
Mhm.
all your saved preview files, and you can delete
Mhm.
it from there.
Yeah, I didn't see it in photos, but I haven't looked the whole thing. Yeah, I think I do see it in files, maybe not. I'll check. Thanks.
Well, I'm looking at the preview folder. And
You
I'm
may
not
not
sure.
have, you may not have saved any files from preview. but you-
Well,
Oh,
I'm not seeing it.
yeah,
That's what he
okay.
said, that's what he said.
Yeah, I see when I scan or scroll down, it does show locations. Right.
Well, better than I
Ah,
am.
okay, somehow it got deleted, I guess. Thank you. Next subject.
Okay, moving on. One miscellaneous item. Did you know about options when setting do not disturb? I guess I knew about disturb, but I didn't realize the options that were available in setting it. So this is just a short. Step 1, open Control Center. Step 2, tap the focus button. Step 3, choose Do Not Disturb. And here's the option. It opens with an option for 1 hour until this evening, until I leave this location. I thought, well, until I leave this location is interesting because you may want to turn that on when you go to the doctor's office or something, but not have it on all day long. So there it is. On
I
to,
found that very, very useful in the past. And there's another useful thing in Focus that Mike Dickerson, I don't know if Michael's here today or not, but he taught me. And that is that sometimes you turn on Do Not Disturb and and forget about it. So you can choose to have another
yeah,
home page on Do Not Disturb. So when my Do Not Disturb goes on at night, it turns orange. Or if I choose to say, until I leave this location, it turns orange. And then when I leave and go a block or so away, it turns back to my normal homepage. And I love that.
yeah.
I don't see Mike here.
You can also set to have Do Not Disturb at a given location. Suppose you're going to church and you want it to not be disturbed. Well, you can just leave it on permanently, and every time you go to church, it goes to Do Not Disturb. When
Yep.
you leave, it goes away.
Can you set it to always turn on Do Not Disturb when you get to church until you
Yes.
leave? Perfect.
Uh-huh. Yeah. All right. On to Q&A and social hour.
That was a nice effect.
There's lots of effects in Keynote.
Yeah.
Okay, something I want to share quickly. Lee, you can, is this something okay, I'm going to share my screen real quick.
Is that your screen we're looking at?
No, that's Lee. Okay, so I'm going to share something. And I forgot to do this at the beginning of the meeting. So, yikers, how do I find my stuff now? Right, okay, so, okay, I gotta get this out of the way here. Okay, so navigate, go to, I forgot to prepare for this, but I just remembered. Okay, here's my keynotes. And this one here. This one here, I wanted to share with you. This was in the Sunday email, and it's posted on the BBS, and we'll post it again next Sunday. We're going to have a field trip to the Computer History Museum for their special event, Apple at 50 with rare prototypes. So we're going to meet at the office at noon and set up some carpools if somebody wants to do that. If you're willing to do that. If not, you could always go on your own and meet us there, or you can go anytime between the rest of the month. It runs till September 7th. There's a link there, and on your email Sunday and on the web about a link to the Computer History Museum shows what the special exhibit's going to be and tons of stuff. So, anybody have questions about this? We'll remind you
Looking
again
for a
next week.
ride.
Well, I'm driving. So when
Save one
when
seat.
people get there, we'll, whoever is available to drive, first come, first serve.
Right, hopefully we'll just organize it when we get there, not in advance. It's too complicated.
And due to the traffic patterns too, it's probably going to be prudent to stay down there through dinner and then leave after dinner.
Correct, I forgot to mention
Yeah, it's
that.
there, but just to remind people,
Right,
in case they say they want to get back at 5 o'clock, they won't.
so if you want to remember this, it was in the Sunday email, exactly what this, also on the BBS, and we'll remind you next Sunday's email, and I might consider sending out a dedicated one, a MailChimp that just says this to remind you, in case people miss it. That may be what I want to do. Okay. Anybody else about this? We'll stop.
Well, I think
sharing.
Lee had a screen up that I don't know if he wanted to discuss it or not.
No, it appears that some of my complication might have been caused by the fact that I was using a table in Pages and then trying to work with a numbers document for Register. And so I was bouncing back and forth between Pages and Register instead of between numbers and numbers. And so I'm looking into that as the possible cause of my problem.
Okay, that was more of a Q&A thing, so we're gonna stop the regular meeting and restart Q&A. So we'll say stop.